Chrysler once gave a jet-powered car to 203 American families, then crushed nearly every one. They shipped a radical concept across the Atlantic, and it now sits 240 feet beneath the ocean. They built an 850-horsepower supercar that worked and killed it before a single customer could buy one. 4 secret experiments Chrysler showed the world, then let vanish. The question isn't what they created, it's what kind of company keeps burying its own future. Walter Chrysler founded his corporation in 1925 with a distinct philosophy: hire the best mechanics and let them build. While General Motors filled its offices with accountants, Chrysler filled its laboratories with ambitious engineers. Throughout the 1950s and the 60s, this technical focus gave design departments an unusual amount of freedom. The results redefined American speed. When the company needed to dominate NASCAR, engineer Tom Hoover refined the second-generation 426 Hemi Phoebe 8, creating a cylinder head configuration that generated massive power. It quickly migrated from racetracks to production lines, roaring inside the Dodge Charger, Plymouth Barracuda, and Roadrunner. Richard Petty used this engine to win at Daytona, proving that Chrysler's engineering-first culture could outrun any corporate committee. This environment of unchecked mechanical experimentation was the baseline that made the impossible suddenly seem routine. In 1953, Chrysler drove an experimental turbine-powered car from New York to Los Angeles on public roads. 10 years later, this research culminated in the 1963 Chrysler Turbine Car. Beneath its elegant Italian sculpted gear body was an engine that spun at a maximum of 44,500 revolutions per minute. This power plant was remarkably simple, operating with only about 60 moving parts compared to the hundreds in a standard piston engine. It had no radiator, no oil filter, and was entirely indifferent to its fuel source. Drivers could fill the tank with diesel, kerosene, jet fuel, vegetable oil, or even tequila. To prove its viability, Chrysler launched a massive public trial. Between 1963 and 1966, the Turbine Car User Program placed these vehicles with 203 ordinary American families, who each drove one for 3 months at no cost. They logged over 1 million combined miles, proving that jet technology was ready for suburban driveways. Then the experiment vanished. In 1966, Chrysler abruptly shut down the program and ordered 46 of the 55 hand-built cars to be systematically crushed. Today, only 9 survive, preserved in museums like the Smithsonian, the Detroit Historical Museum, and Jay Leno's private collection. The official explanation for the destruction has always been a massive tax loophole, specifically avoiding heavy import duties on the foreign-built gear bodies. Yet, a persistent question remains. Was this customs tariff the genuine reason the turbine died, or was it simply a convenient excuse to bury a project that was too expensive to ever mass-produce? In 1956, Chrysler design chief Virgil Exner, the force behind the company's forward-look styling, conceived an automotive shape that challenged the laws of structural engineering. Dubbed the Norseman, this fastback coupe featured a radical design element. It had no front A-pillars. Instead, the heavy steel and glass roof was cantilevered entirely from the rear, creating an uninterrupted, bubble-like cabin. Because of the design's complexity, Chrysler contracted Carrozzeria Ghia in Turin, Italy, to hand-build the aluminum body. Following 15 months of labor, Ghia finished the prototype and secured it inside a wooden shipping crate. On July 17, 1956, workers loaded the Norseman into the cargo hold of the Italian luxury liner SS Andrea Doria, bound for New York and a scheduled debut at the 1957 Auto Show. 8 days into the voyage, on July the 25th, the Andrea Doria encountered heavy fog off the coast of Nantucket. At 11:10 that night, the Swedish motor liner MS Stockholm struck the Italian ship's starboard side. The collision claimed 51 lives and sent the listing Andrea Doria to the ocean floor the following morning. The Norseman went down with the ship. Today, the only physical example of Exner's design sits 240 feet beneath the Atlantic. It occupies an extraordinary position in automotive history, a concept car that is precisely located, thoroughly documented, and completely unrecoverable. In 1967, visitors to the Detroit Autorama encountered an automotive shape that defied conventional categorization. This was the Dodge Deora. Designed by Harry Bentley Bradley, the custom pickup was built on a compact Dodge A100 van platform. It lacked standard doors. Instead, the driver and passenger stepped inside by swinging open a front hinged clamshell hood, which swung forward to reveal the cabin. Chrysler never intended to build the vehicle for showrooms. It was a pure styling study, an exercise in pushing the boundaries of utility vehicle design. Yet, while the full-size Deora never saw an assembly line, it achieved massive scale in miniature. In 1968, toy manufacturer Mattel chose the Deora as one of the original 16 Hot Wheels castings, translating Bradley's low-slung design into a 1:64 scale die-cast toy. This created an unusual generational irony. Millions of American children spent their childhoods pushing the tiny metallic truck across living room rugs, completely unaware that a real, functional version actually existed. The actual prototype eventually retreated into private storage, but it was rescued and fully restored in the late 1990s. Today, after appearing at major concours events and selling at auction for over $300,000, the real Deora stands as a physical monument to a time when Chrysler allowed independent designers to reshape their production platforms into functional works of art. At the 2004 North American Bartholomew International Auto Show in Detroit, Chrysler unveiled a machine that bypassed conventional concept car limitations. This was the ME412. Its name laid bare its architectural blueprint, a mid-engine layout housing a quad turbocharged 6-litre Mercedes-A MG V12. The engine produced 850 horsepower and 850 pound-feet of torque. This power was managed by a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, sending the carbon fiber monocoque from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.9 seconds toward an estimated top speed of 248 miles per hour. Instead of a static styling shell, this was a fully functional prototype, tested on track by independent journalists who confirmed its real-world capability. Following the 1998 merger that created Daimler-Chrysler, German executives in Stuttgart held the final authority. When SRT engineers under Dan Knott began pushing for low-volume production, the reality of global corporate economics intervened. High-level reviews calculated that the development costs of the specialized AMG engine and carbon fiber chassis would yield unsustainable profit margins. Furthermore, political friction arose within Daimler as a production Chrysler supercar threatened to eclipse the performance of Mercedes-Benz's own flagship, the SLR McLaren. The project was quietly shelved. Despite proving that Chrysler's engineering department still possessed its historical audacity, the ME412 was buried by spreadsheet realities. Not a single customer ever took delivery. It remains the final, modern monument to a corporate culture that could build the future but could never find a way to let it survive. In Detroit, a distinct corporate pattern defined the post-war era. Ford killed radical ideas in consumer focus groups, and General Motors buried them in bureaucratic committees. Chrysler, however, actually built the machines, displayed them to the public, and then found a reason to make them disappear. This was the same institutional audacity that put the towering steel wing of the Plymouth Superbird onto public streets. Yet by systematically crushing its most advanced breakthroughs, the company did more than miss production opportunities. It dismantled its own future. Today, Chrysler sits quietly inside the massive Stellantis empire, parked alongside European brands like Fiat and utility icons like Jeep. The historic American nameplate survives, but the bold, engineering-first culture that once built jet-powered passenger cars and quad-turbocharged supercars has vanished entirely. Today, the Chrysler name survives, but its radical soul remains buried. These lost experiments remind us that the greatest corporate danger is not failure, but choosing never to dare. When caution permanently replaces the courage to invent, we lose the future itself. Share your thoughts in the comments below.